And welcome to the Cauldron here on Times Television. This is the Cauldron where editors do meet. This is the program which gives you the opportunity to understand in depth some of the things that are happening in the country and of course on the international scene. My name is Chawes Banda, and today I have Innocent Mpongolo from Miji News Radio. He is here to help us talk about issues that have fallen before our discussion today. And we also have got several other issues that we need to look into. Innocent, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Chawes.
Sure. The High Court has issued an order restraining Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Cauldron from making decisions in that capacity without consulting his party leadership. This follows an injunction and subsequent judicial review sought by the party spokesperson, Shadrack Namalomba. It seems, Innocent, cracks in the DPP are getting deeper and wider than previously thought. What is the main issue? What is the problem?
I think the problem is leadership. I think the party is lacking leadership, or a leadership and sense of direction. We expected that the time DPP was voted out of government, I think they had won the 2019 elections. They formed that government that was nullified by the courts. We looked at the DPP as a strong force. But now, a month later, after the fresh presidential elections, we noticed that the DPP is no longer the strong force that people were thinking it was. Now, in the opposition, I think we will always know or understand a political party's strength and weaknesses when they are in opposition.
Yes.
And also in the opposition, that's where we know the leaders. Does that party have leadership? So this is the time that the Malawians are able to make a decision, are able to see, does the DPP have that kind of leadership that we are talking about? I think it's up to each and every individual to make a decision to say we have DPP has leadership or they don't have leadership. But if you're asking me about the problem, I'll say the problem is the leadership of the party.
All right, we'll get back to the issue of leadership in the Democratic Progressive Party. Right now, let's look at what the court has said. Apart from issuing a restraining order, the High Court in Zomba has also reversed some decisions as taken by the DPP's Vice President for the South, who is also leader of the opposition in the National Assembly, such as appointing a shadow cabinet and directing the sitting plan of his opposition members of parliament in the House. Does this affect him and how he leads the opposition benches in the National Assembly?
Yeah, I would say that, maybe before I get into that substantive question, I'll get to how the DPP has been operating over the maybe past year or so. I think we have one DPP which is outside Parliament, and we have another DPP which is in Parliament. Now, Nankuma has taken advantage that he leads the opposition in Parliament, and he also has the following in Parliament. We should remember that the DPP leadership appointed Dr. George Chaponda as leader of opposition. But now, according to the MPs, I think they said no, we voted for Nankuma. So there are two parties within one party, within the DPP.
Yes.
There is a DPP that is outside Parliament, and there is a DPP that is inside Parliament. Now, since the DPP is in opposition, I think the DPP, the only point we see the DPP is when Parliament is meeting. That's when we only see the DPP. So that gives an impetus to Nankuma, because we are able to see that DPP is there when they are in Parliament. Outside Parliament, DPP is invisible. So Nankuma has an upper hand. Now that a court decides to hit Nankuma in Parliament, I think that affects his maybe strategy, his plan, and also his position as leader of opposition, because now the forces are coming outside Parliament. Within Parliament, it appears he managed to consolidate his position. Yes, we know there are some parliamentarians that they don't agree with his line of thinking, but there are few comparing to those that are on his side. So a decision from the court, I think, affects Cauldron in Parliament quite hugely, as opposed to the entire DPP outside Parliament.
Now, let's take a look at what happened on Thursday. Following this particular restraining order from the High Court in Zomba, that Mr. Nankuma stops making decisions and acting in the capacity of leader of opposition without consulting party leadership for the Democratic Progressive Party. We saw Honorable Shadrack Namalomba returning to his previous seat. And again, when he did return to his previous seat in the National Assembly in terms of the sitting plan, we saw the leader of opposition, Mr. Cauldron Nankuma, rising and asking the Speaker of the National Assembly to order Mr. Namalomba to return to his previously allocated seat by him. And then Mr. Namalomba said, no, there is a court order reversing the decisions as taken by Mr. Nankuma. But the Speaker of the National Assembly said she is yet to have his secretariat served with the court documents to that particular effect. It seems they are right.
Yeah, they are right, considering the fact that I think we have what we call separation of powers.
Yes.
We have the executive, the judiciary, as well as the legislature. I think they operate independently from each other. I think there are restrictions, there are certain lines that cannot be crossed when certain things are happening. In this particular regard, I think we all know that parliamentarians are protected whenever they are in parliament.
Yes.
I think it's quite difficult for them to be served with documents from the court and all those things. Now, this is another scenario that we are yet to see what will happen. Are the courts going to move Parliament on how it is supposed to operate? But now, that also takes us to another issue. I think we've had situations where courts have been giving injunctions to parliamentarians that are deemed to have crossed the floor.
Yes.
We've seen them running to courts, and the courts will address their issues. Now, this time around, it's the vice versa. It's now the parliament that is supposed to entertain a decision from the court. So on this one, I think legal minds should be able to come and interpret if that decision by the court is going to be implemented, is going to be used. That we are yet to see. But as it is now, I think the issue is getting complicated. As I've already alluded to, I think Nankuma has that upper hand when it comes to parliamentary issues. He knows the ropes and how to go about the ropes. So I think he used that particular tactic to maybe frustrate Namalomba. So I think this is a battle that has just started.
All right, a battle that has just started. Looking at Section 5 of the National Assembly Act, this is according to Ian Mwenye, the parliamentary spokesperson or a spokesperson for the National Assembly. Ian Mwenye, he says, when you look at the powers and privileges which hold that no process issued by any court in exercise of its jurisdiction shall be served or executed within the precincts of the National Assembly while the Assembly is sitting. Now, what this means is the restraining order as issued by the High Court in Zomba to the effect that Mr. Nankuma has got to stop making decisions without consulting party leadership for Democratic Progressive. Then this particular restraining order would not have any effect at the moment because the National Assembly is meeting. This is according to Section 5 of the National Assembly Act. So what it means is, if at all this particular order is to be effected, they have got to wait until Parliament rises. And if anything, the decisions and the reversals that have been made have got to come into effect when Parliament meets again. How do you see them play around with these particular issues now that the battle has exited their Democratic Progressive Party room? It is now getting into the National Assembly. It is now getting to the courts. The battle seems more deeper and greater than meets the eye.
Yeah, I think just to remind our viewer, Cauldron Nankuma is leader of opposition today because of court injunction.
Yes.
Okay, he's surviving on that injunction, and this time around, it appears he's surviving on that injunction, and also Namalomba and the team, they also want to have, to enjoy that maybe position in the DPP using the very same court. Yes, maybe 3 weeks from now, the Parliament might rise. That means that maybe the court order can be effected.
Yes.
And that will come into effect. Now the question is, what next?
Yes.
Okay. We have Cauldron Nankhumwa injunction, and then we have Namalomba's injunction.
Yes.
So it's like it is a party that
injunctions and counter injunctions.
Injunctions and counter injunctions. So earlier I said the only place we see the DPP alive,
yes,
it's in Parliament. Now these things are happening within the parliamentary wars. What should we expect from the DPP? So I think it's time that maybe their issues should now get out of Parliament, should now get out of the courts, and they should meet face to face and address their issues. Otherwise, the path that they've taken, yes, he can survive it now, and Nankhumwa can survive now just because the Section 5, as you pointed out,
yes,
is protecting him.
Yes.
But now, after Parliament,
yes,
something has to happen.
Obviously.
What would be the way forward? Should we expect to see a united force within the DPP come next parliamentary sitting? This is having an effect or an impact on the whole running of government affairs. Mm-hmm. I think maybe they might think that it's only the DPP that is suffering,
yes,
it's only Nankhumwa that will suffer, it's only Namalomba that will suffer, it's only APM that will suffer. But now, look, are they making that much needed contribution within the National Assembly? We had a scenario where all along we've known Honorable Manamvika as spokesperson of the DPP on finance issues. This time around, we hear, no, it's going to be Ralph Juma.
Yes.
Does what Ralph Juma presented in Parliament reflect on what the DPP thinks things are supposed to be done? So you see that within the DPP, probably we have two opposing opinions on this national budget. Is that what we call constructive opposition? Is that what we call opposition? I think the answer is no, because they were supposed to sit, brainstorm, and make a decision to say, okay, this is the position of the DPP. But as it stands now, we have 2 or 3 positions of the DPP on the same budget, which is not good for a democracy.
Now, having the issue at hand contested, when the Speaker of the National Assembly said that she and her secretariat are yet to be served with the documents from the court regarding the reversals and all the restraining orders as issued by the court, we saw Mr. Namalomba taking to the floor, making scathing and incriminating allegations that Mr. Cauldron Nankhumwa stole money, and that he's got evidence to that particular effect. Whenever you make an allegation in the National Assembly, there is a standing order which says that any member who makes allegations is responsible for providing proof of the same. Now, having Mr. Namalomba challenging the National Assembly to say, I know Mr. Cauldron Nankhumwa stole money and I have evidence to that particular effect. Does this help the Democratic Progressive Party? Does this make any difference in making sure that the party is rebuilt and the hatchet is buried so that they can move in unison as a party to stage and project that unified stance as an opposition establishment within the National Assembly for the betterment of the country?
Yeah, I think I would say that it's up to Namalomba to provide that proof. And also, you should bear in mind also that whatever is said in Parliament, I think you're not held liable.
Exactly.
Yeah. So probably that's one of those things to say, no, I want to, hit where it matters most. But I think those are the issues that if Mr. Namalomba is well-meaning, I think he can take those very same issues maybe to courts, to ACB, and other places. Because at the moment, we are talking about corruption. I think if there are some issues or rumors concerning cabinet ministers and all those things, people are going out and about to say, no, government is doing nothing. Government is supposed to, push the ACB to act on 1 or 2 things. I think this is the time if the DPP is trying to prove to Malawians that, yes, indeed we are ready to fight corruption, we are ready to expose corruption, maybe issues to do with stealing and all those things.
Yes.
Maybe he started it in Parliament. We're hoping that maybe we'll take it out of Parliament, because maybe he has a privilege.
Yes.
He knows that maybe whatever I say I'll not be liable. But maybe if he is indeed serious or well-meaning, maybe he can take that outside Parliament and follow the right procedure. However, that is not even helping matters in terms of rebuilding the DPP,
Exactly.
as you are alluding to. I think that is only exposing the party. It's only exposing the leader of opposition. I'll keep on saying this. If there is a point that we see DPP after the fresh presidential post, it's only in Parliament. Now he is the person who is working as leader of your party in Parliament, and you are washing your dirty linen in public.
Yes.
I think whatever is happening in Parliament, it does not end in Parliament. It does not end at 193 legislators. It also goes out of the parliamentary wars. So it's immature. Whatever is happening in Parliament between DPP leaders, I think it's a sign of immaturity on their part, and also it shows that I think all those characters involved in this whole thing, they don't have the DPP on their heart.
All right. Now, he went further. Mr. Namalomba went further to make some sentiments, or he did produce some sentiments to the effect that if the opposition doesn't want him, he's ready to go to the government. What does he mean?
Maybe it's just say or things like that. Because look, he was appointed as a DPP spokesperson and Peter Mutharika as spokesperson. But then there is also an injunction that is also stripping him of all those things to say,
yes,
we have people that were elected through a national convention. They are a spokesperson. We have as a spokesperson that was elected at a convention. You don't deserve this. You're not supposed to act in such a capacity.
Yes.
So it's like Honorable Namalomba, as we are speaking, he's just should I say a mayor, but he's just a member of parliament for the DPP. He doesn't hold any position in the NGC of the DPP. Now he's like, he was complaining to say, now I'm sitting on seat number 100.
Yes, that was the issue.
His voice is not audible.
And he even said, I've got an eye problem. I can't even make out the front properly. So I need to sit a little bit closer to where the speaker is, and of course, a little in front when it comes to the sitting plan in the National Assembly.
Yeah, so you know what it means when you're sitting in front in Parliament.
Yes.
It means you've
got power.
You've got power.
You are regarded in the party.
Yes, so you're easily recognized by the speaker.
Exactly.
You can make your contribution and all those things. But now imagine Namalomba is that far.
A
backbencher for that matter. I think his her contribution or relevance in the party, if I may use that word, I think is now becoming so minimal to the extent that I think he's nowhere to be seen.
All right.
Because he had his muscle outside Parliament. He was speaking on behalf of the party, on behalf of the president. Now those things have been taken away from him. He went to court and he was supposed to sit on the front bench. Now he's way back. I think, for him to make such a sentiment, it's something that I would say is something maybe coming from his heart and from the background. I think Namalomba has been DPP.
Yes.
But the DPP was not using him the way maybe it was supposed to be used when DPP was in power. He's only come out in the limelight when the DPP is out of power.
Yes.
Okay? So he doesn't have that stake in the DPP because he was quite invisible.
Yes.
I think the only time we saw Honorable Namalomba to be maybe active was when he was chairperson of
Public
Accounts Committee.
Yes.
Yes, he still is. Yes, he still is, but he also has issues within the committee. So he has a lot of battles that he's fighting. Maybe it's time that he's retiring to say, no, I cannot fight anymore. I've lost my power and all those things.
All right. Proceeding with the program, Innocent. Let us look at a little bit of solutions, perhaps, that we may suggest to the Democratic Progressive Party to end all these internal wrangles that are rocking this particular party. You hinted on the challenges as facing the party to be something to do with the leadership. Does Professor Mutharika have the power and control to keep the party together?
I think at the moment I would say that he's lost it. He's not in control. I'll say so. He's not in control because him as leader of the party, he was supposed to steer the ship, to give orders. I think leaders are there to make decisions. Whether they'll make a good decision or a bad decision, I think leaders are there to stand and make decisions.
Yes.
I know people would argue to say, yes, you made a decision, not holding a convention. But now, in the absence of that convention, what is he doing as a leader now? I think we have a power vacuum within the DPP. I think after Peter Mutharika, who else is supposed to call the shots? Okay? Cauldron now is too visible because he is in parliament. He is also vice president for the DPP for the south. But we also have vice president for the north, Gudo Gondwe. We had vice president for the central region. They were not all that powerful. But the advantage that Nankuma has is he is a member of parliament,
yes,
as well as he's also leading a region that has more support
yes,
for the DPP.
As vice president
for the party. So I think Mutharika was supposed to understand all those things, all those intricacies, and maybe invite the National Executive Committee of the party, the NGC, come together and agree on certain things. But what has been happening is that they've been trying to, doing what I'll call a face saver.
Yes.
He called all the aspirants, 6 of them, I don't know whatever they discussed, but it was just a face saver. 2-3 weeks later, something erupted, which was contrary to the expectation. So I think time is now for Professor Mutharika to rise to the occasion, to make a decision, to call all the warring parties, or even to call for maybe an emergency convention,
yes,
where delegates will agree on certain things. I think there were some decisions that he made as the president. The decisions were challenged in court,
yes,
and all those things are happening. So one will wonder to say, is he still in control, or is he indeed leading this particular party? I think by the look of things, people say no, he's not leading. There is that vacuum. So it's up to him to make that decision. It's up to him to say something. It's up to him to maybe invite all those people that are fighting to a round table and agree on certain things and move forward. Otherwise, his absence or his silence, I think it's quite audible that maybe I'm tired. I don't want to lead this party anymore. All
right. You have hinted to say there was a time Mr. Mutharika summoned all the presidential aspirants in the Democratic Progressive Party to a round table, perhaps to iron out a few things. But it seems nothing has changed. That particular summoning or meeting hasn't paid any dividends at all. Do you think perhaps it is time they got for themselves an external and independent mediator so that change and unity can be brought into the Democratic Progressive Party?
Yeah, I would say that's the way to go. Because the bone of contention, I think, was coming in of Dr. Kabambe.
Yes.
To say people, some quarters were like, the president is backing Dr. Kabambe. He's favoring Dr. Kabambe and
yes,
all those things. Now, there are some sections that feel the president is not for this particular section. The
yes,
president wants 1 or 2, 3 things. I mean, 2, 3 people maybe outside the party or people within the party, but now they share a very special relationship with the president. Those are the undertones that have been there. So from those undertones, I think it's quite difficult for Professor Mutharika to make a decision that will be accepted
yes,
by both sides of the party. I think the only option that was there was maybe to have an elective conference,
yes,
maybe to put in place new office bearers, but it appears that is also failing, and the president is insisting that that will only happen in 2023. But as the party is waiting for 2023, a lot of damage is taking place.
Yes.
I think this is where the party needs some mediators.
Yes.
However, we have a challenge in Malawi. We don't have a principled people that people run to to say, you come and mediate our issues. People expected organs such as PAC, Public Affairs Committee, as neutral as they're supposed to be. People were supposed to be running to them, so come help us to put our house in order and all those things. But do you really think that people run to such an institution to ask for mediation? I don't think that will work out.
That, Innocent, brings me to my next question to say, what is the role of institutions like the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, CMD, when they see opposition parties falling apart like the DPP is doing? Do they have a duty of care to ensure that parties are kept strong, to foster democracy and effective provision of checks and balances that only come from political parties or establishments that are strong and united?
I would say maybe as CMT, their role is to ensure that maybe multi-party is thriving in the country. But now on how particular political parties are supposed to operate, I think that is left to individual political parties. I think we really need to do something as a country because whatever is happening in the DPP is not an exception case. We also have some members within the Malawi Congress Party that they've been voicing their frustration to say, no, the party leadership is sidelining us, the party leadership is doing this and that. I think we have the likes of Alex Major. We've seen them coming out to, express their frustrations. And this is also happening within the DPP. We also had issues in the UDF. We also, all political parties, they have that kind of a scenario at one point or the other. Sometimes I think the solution only comes by on its own, and sometimes you need to do something to have that particular solution. Now, in this particular case, I think as a country, we should understand and we embrace multi-party democracy. We really need to nurture the multi-party democracy to the extent that we grow into this kind of multi-party. But now talking about intra-party democracy, that this has been our challenge for quite some time. I think now is the time we sit and agree on certain things. I don't know whether we really need to establish another body that will be looking at issues of that nature. But all these political parties, they have their own constitutions. What is it that their constitutions are saying? Things like this. I think constitutions are supposed to address such things. But what this tells us is that we have leaders who are not ready to respect the law. Okay, because the constitutions are addressing all these things. Okay, if you have squabbles, this is you go to this particular committee. If this particular committee fails, you go to this particular committee. You're supposed to have internal remedies. But now I think the internal remedies are not being exhausted, and then people are rushing to the courts. People are doing all these things. I think it tells us one thing: our leaders in political parties are not ready to respect the law. That's where we have a problem. But for CMT to come in, I think maybe they might look to be overstepping their mandate. They are now going into political, the running of political parties as individual political parties, which would be problematic in a way.
All right, your final thought, Innocent, on the future of the Democratic Progressive Party. 30 seconds.
I would say the future looks good if the party will continue with this trajectory. I think we have
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. We have a DPP in Parliament. We also have a DPP also outside Parliament. And within a Parliament, there are some even members who are for the DPP that is outside the Parliament, and others, the DPP that has been led by Nanguma. I would say, without fear of contradiction, to say we don't have a single DPP at the moment.
All right.
We have 2 or 3 DPPs, which cannot work.
All right. At the moment, we have 2 or 3 democratic progressive parties. That is according to Innocent Mpongolo, the news editor for Meiji radio station. All right, we take a very short break. We'll be right back shortly after this break.
Participate in any of our programs. Send your opinions anytime on Times TV and Times Radio via SMS to 1895. Terms and conditions apply.
It's about time.
All right, welcome back to the Cauldron once again. This is the Cauldron where editors do meet, and today I have Innocent Mpongolo from Meiji News Radio. He is here to help us, of course, understand a few things that have fallen before our discussions. My name is Jawez Banda. Once again, welcome, Innocent, to the program.
Thank you.
Let's get straight. We get straight into the international segment. Effects of Russian invasion of Ukraine. We all know what is happening. We are into the third, if not the second, if not the third week of the Russian invasion into Ukraine. I want to look at the outcomes or the results or the effects of this particular invasion. We are getting reports of rising prices of petroleum products. These are also issues that are happening not just in Malawi, not just in Zambia, but the rest of the world. We all know that Russia is one of the biggest exporters of oil and gas, even when it comes to liquefied natural gas. These are effects that are going to affect us. Do the international leaders, when you talk about these leaders, I'm talking about the US, the British, the Russians themselves, even Mr. Putin, Mr. Biden, Zelensky himself from Ukraine, know that whatever is happening in Ukraine does have an effect on the rest of the world?
I think they know that whatever is happening has an effect on the rest of the world, and that's why they are doing it.
Yes.
Because I think I would say that those people in those superpowers, whatever they do, they just want to amass power. They just want to amass recognition and what have you. I think their issues are quite different with our issues. We are still struggling to have food. We are still struggling, to have, some basic needs. But them, they are well advanced. So whatever they do just to attract the attention of the world. So they, know that whatever is happening is putting the world to a halt. And on the other end, when you are listening to whatever sentiments they are making, when you hear Putin speaking, when you hear Zelensky, when you go to the US, you go to Britain, I think they are proud of whatever is happening, particularly looking at Putin. I think he's happy with whatever is happening. So, asking me about them knowing that this has an effect on the world, I think they know.
They do.
Yes.
They know. Because when you look at the attention of the whole world, you see that it has certainly descended on Ukraine. The whole debate, the whole discussion, all the international news media are replete or awash with news of this particular invasion. It seems as if at the moment we only have got one issue to deal with as humanity, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia.
Yes, I would say that we have what we call the G8, then it grows G20,
Yes.
and it goes, and then we have the BRICS, we have all those blocks. But
Yes.
now Russia is one of the top dogs, if I'll use that word.
Yes.
In terms of world affairs.
Yes.
So whatever is happening at Russia, I think the world has to be affected. The world has to stand and see what is happening. Now, the problem with this war is that it divides the world.
Yes.
I think we saw some voting patterns within African countries on whether Russia should continue or should walk out of Ukraine. I think we saw some African countries voting for yes, others voting for no, others abstaining.
Yes.
You know how the politics works. I think those who voted to say Russia should pull out, I think they are blacklisted in terms of maybe aid and what have you from Russia. Those who voted yes, you know, they will maybe have some military support from Russia. That is dividing the world at the moment.
Yes.
Those that are siding with US and Britain and all those countries, they also have their own interests. So this puts us in an awkward position where we don't use the, I would say, independent lanes to say which side should we belong to. Okay, what decisions should we make? I think we look at the benefits that we get from Russia, the benefits that we get from the US, we get from Britain, benefits that we get from Ukraine. So you weigh all those things. So poor countries, Malawi inclusive, I think we are in that state of wondering. We don't know. What should we do? Should we side with Ukraine? Should we side with Russia? Should we side with the US or what? Because we are looking at a number of issues. So when you are a country that looks at various angles for aid, and I mean, you're compromised. So the situation is quite tricky in terms of poor countries, African countries, Malawi included.
All right, now you've talked about the divide which is existing. You take a look at where you have Russia, you've got countries like China, you've got North Korea, you've got Syria, you've got Belarus, and of course some other countries. Understandably, Egypt, I think, should also be siding, if I'm not wrong, should also be siding with the Russians. And then when you come this other side where there is Ukraine, there is the US, the British, the French, and the rest of the other allied partners in that particular sense, certainly there is a huge and deep divide between these two sides, and it doesn't appear to be doing us any good. Take a look at what is happening between what they call the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, which runs from Russia to Germany and of course the other countries. Russia is the biggest exporter of oil and gas, and if it stops, or this particular stream is stopped or shut off, certainly prices of oil and gas and the rest of the products that are exported from Russia will go up, and they will certainly have a ripple effect on people's living standards. Do these people know that what they are doing is not in the best interest of people around the world?
Yeah, I would say I indicated earlier that they know and they are happy about it. They want to be seen to be the superpowers.
Maybe let me put this last but one question, Innocent, this way. Does Russia have legitimate concerns over Ukraine? Does it have a valid reason for its invasion of Ukraine? Let me put it that particular way.
I would say I think this invasion is beyond Ukraine. I think Russia is not fighting Ukraine.
Yes.
Russia is trying to fight some unforeseen, enemy.
Yes.
Okay. I think I would say imaginary, but this enemy is not imaginary. They have an enemy.
Yes. So they are simply using Ukraine.
Using Ukraine.
To send a certain message.
Yes.
To someone.
They are trying to attract someone. They are trying to provoke someone so that maybe they can engage into a warfare. So I think it's getting interesting. Now I think Biden is now responding to that. They are putting up, sanctions, you're talking about Britain. They are also coming in to, come up with some sanctions. I think now they are doing things on the surface, but now it will not be like this for long. I think it will get deeper into something else if these issues will not be addressed. Okay. I think what is only refraining the US, the Germans and the other countries to come in, I think they are trying to figure out one or two things. The what if is, they say, no, what if we do this?
Yes.
And he responds like this.
Yes.
But when all those things are addressed, trust me, the world will be on fire. So it's something that we really need to give an eye, and we really need to find a solution.
All right. Now, lastly, Innocent, when you take a look at humanitarian suffering, it seems it is getting worse by day. And these two sides have had to agree on what they are calling humanitarian corridors. These are the pathways through which those people that want to evacuate or want to leave Ukraine have got to use. Now Russia is coming in to say, if you want to leave Ukraine, the only destinations you can get to are Belarus and Russia itself. Does that make any sense to say if you want to leave Ukraine, you can only go to Russia and Belarus? That also happens to be an ally of the Russians.
That's the politics now. I think what that means is, I think there are some other countries that they are against Russia.
Yes.
And there are people in Ukraine and others even in Russia as well. So that is just a way of showing that, you know what, I'm in control of the world.
Of course.
Yes, I'm in control of the world. You cannot go out using other routes.
Yes.
I think just use my route and my ally. And that's all. So I would say this whole battle is about supremacy. It's nothing else but supremacy. Putin is trying to show that, yes, I can rule the world.
All right, let's finish with the newsroom segment. We won't take that particular break. We'll just connect with the newsroom. The newsroom segment today, we want to look at the likelihood of the media suffering from defamation lawsuit. We have seen these issues. We've read about them. How does one working in a newsroom avoid suffering from defamation lawsuit?
We always say defense for defamation is truth.
Of course.
Okay, so I think there are issues to do with the truth, and also issues to do with a verification of facts. I think facts need to be verified, and also this one, I think it's not only about the media now. It's also about other stakeholders that work with the media, and also I would suggest the fully implementation of the access to information law. Sometimes people will deliberately hide information for you, just simply because you do not maybe get their voice and what have you. You are in for defamation, things of that nature. So it's up to an individual as a practitioner. You make a decision. You decide on if whatever you're saying is true. You go ahead and publish. Then the next level is verification. If you verify that yes, this indeed is true, you go ahead and publish. But in the absence of all that, I think it's quite tricky. You know, there are lots of stories that are good, they are appetizing. The stories that maybe will change the world, but some people out there deliberately will not provide that information to you, and they will have to come and make such claims to say you defamed me. So it's a two-way kind of a situation where the media is supposed to be responsible, and also the stakeholders on the other end. I think particularly those that are serving public offices. Talking about maybe individuals, they have their personal choice to say, I can give you information or I cannot give you information. But provided there is truth, I think one can go ahead and publish, and they'll say, this is the truth that I was talking about.
And that is enough defense in the court of law.
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, Innocent, just to remind our viewers in terms of what constitutes defamation. One has got to issue a false statement. And that particular false statement has got to be injurious to the effect that someone should feel aggrieved, so much so that they may wish to seek legal redress. And thirdly, that particular issue has to be communicated to the public or to a third party. One, it has to be a false statement. Two, it has to injure someone. Three, it has to be communicated to a third party or the public. Does today's social media understand what constitutes defamation? Because we see a lot of false statements, a lot of injury being caused on social media, and the communication is obviously done by the mere fact that we are able to see it, and all these three aspects that do constitute defamation are all satisfied in just one particular status. Does social media understand that perhaps on a day-to-day basis there are possible defamation lawsuits that are being provoked?
I think only if you understand what defamation is all about. I think a good I would say majority of social media users, they don't understand what it means, and also they have that feeling to say, where are they going to get me? I publish.
Yes.
They don't care. But now we have a law.
Yes.
And I think we've seen our men in uniform tracing people, arresting them,
Yes.
and charging them. I think
Yes.
people should understand that. And also, the bad thing with social media, people are also using pseudonyms.
Yes.
Okay, they are not coming out to say
Zigoba.
this is Jawez Banda, this
Yes.
is Innocent Mongo. They are publishing using, I don't know how we're going to get to the bottom of that. I know some experts who dig deeper and find out to say this is the person behind this Chikoba. But people using social media, I think they are defaming people left, right, and center. They are careless with such things.
All right, Innocent Pongolo, thank you very much for taking time to talk to me.
Welcome, Joyce.
All the best.
Thank you.
That's Innocent Pongolo, reminding you that you just have got to be very careful in terms of what you write on social media, because it has the potential to injure someone and they may sue you for defamation. But if you think what you're saying is the truth, if you think you've got all the facts right within your fingertips relating to a particular matter, go ahead to publish that, because the truth is defense in a court of law against defamation. My name is Jawez Banda. I'm just wishing you all the best as you keep on watching Times, and urging you to be there again next time the Cauldron, where editors meet, is back. Goodbye, and enjoy the rest of our programs.